CM Punk is back on the road to WrestleMania. Plus, we have an update on Okada's AEW status and scrapped plans for AEW Meat Madness. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling News right now.
I don't know where that came from just a second ago.
CM Punk flavored news we begin with. It looked as if, according to Punk, that WrestleMania 40 wasn't on the cards this year. I think it maybe might be.
Looks that way. WWE now advertising CM Punk for the WrestleMania Go Home episode of Raw taking place Monday the 1st at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. What was that?
New York.
It's the final step.
Coffee.
It's the I'm walking, yeah. Don't know what that was. Mikey Miles.
I'm a New York man.
It's the final stop for all Raw stars before WrestleMania. Obviously, the speculation is there now that CM Punk is going to be part of WrestleMania. What's he going to be doing? Are they going to stick him on comms for the Drew Seth match? A lot of people are speculating, and I love this idea, that he might end up being special guest referee for that match, in there with two guys who absolutely hate him. That's a really interesting dynamic. And also, it's a very good plug for 2K24, which is just added back in the special guest referee mode. So I honestly think that might be the thing that they do with him. It's always a pleasure to have CM Punk on commentary, but CM Punk as a special guest ref, that's really, really fun.
This is one of these situations where they're sort of painting as they go, and they seem to have painted potentially a masterpiece here by having that situation of two guys that hate him. He's going to decide who wins the world title.
Yeah.
That's really good. It does explain why Drew is continuing to keep him in the conversation, because obviously if Punk's going to be out for a year, like Drew's not going to every week come out and go, well, here we are.
This is it, isn't it? It always felt that he was starting a little bit too early, or continuing a little bit too early, given Punk's timeline. So maybe Punk will be back by, what's the estimation? Is it SummerSlam? Is it as late as Survivor Series? It could be the rest of the year. Who knows? He's going to be out for some time. So for Drew to be hammering this home very, very hard, both on TV and on social media, something has got to be done there. And hopefully as CM Punk becomes more and more healthy, they can play it off, and there's your long-term storytelling for you, eh?
Very long-term storytelling. It is. It's a brave move, if not to start promoting something that you're probably not going to pay off until maybe the summer. But they're going to do it anyway. Meanwhile, in AEW, Tony Khan led a media call last night ahead of AEW Revolution on Sunday. He was asked about the recent filing for a trademark for the name AEW Dynasty. He revealed that they are indeed planning a pay-per-view edition.
Yes, more pay-per-views this year, saying 9 pay-per-view events is probably the sweet spot, as Tony Khan, adding that there would also be 3 Ring of Honor pay-per-views per year as well. So obviously they have increased in recent times. They do a few more. They do a lot of TV specials, but maybe looking at 9 this year now. I don't think this is black and white as issue as some people tend to make out. A lot of people just go, no, they should just do 4 a year, make them feel big, make them feel special. But one thing that I've noticed with AEW is that then you've got really hot stuff that maybe picks up organically. You've got really hot stuff that because a pay-per-view might be 2 months away, you've sort of got to either try and keep that buzz going for longer than you would like to, or pay it off for free on TV. And that's not ideal either. So I think there are advantages and disadvantages to both business models here. I mean, they're doing fine with pay-per-view buys. That's one thing that they're doing very, very well on, in fact. So I can totally understand why they want to add more.
It kind of leans into what we talked about in our first video today, which is the conversations and the frustrations backstage that Tony Khan seems to be more than ever booking week to week, as opposed to doing these long storyline journeys. But injuries and incidents and accidents and hints and allegations stop that from happening. But if that's the way things are going to be going forward, you might as well ratchet up the pay-per-views to, like you say, capitalize on those little bursts of momentum that storylines get and pay them off with a pay-per-view.
Yeah, some do better than others for sure, but you've got such a loyal fan base there that they're going to be happy, but they don't mind spending an extra few quid every 6-7 weeks, however often it's going to be. I think it's it's going to go ahead, so no point complaining about it.
I have one thing though.
Go on.
Do more pay-per-views, make them shorter.
Yeah. No, you know what?
Make them shorter.
Just a second.
No.
Elimination Chamber was 3.5 hours. AEW tends to go 4. Elimination Chamber on the main card only had 4 matches and a talk show segment.
That was disgustingly long. That was disgustingly long.
I had a really good time.
Good fun, but disgustingly long.
I was 8 beers in as well by the end of it. That flew by for me.
But you know what? They had lulls. The AEW pay-per-views, and this is what a champagne problem to have. And I appreciate it's a champagne problem. AEW pay-per-views don't have lulls. They're like, here's a 30-minute banger. All right, catch your breath, put your trousers back on. Here's a 30-minute banger. Here's a 40-minute banger. Yeah. Here's a 25-minute banger. You just chuck a couple of 3-minute matches in there. That'd be fine.
I agree.
Man's got to piss.
There you go.
Man's got to piss.
I agree. It's tough to get that right, isn't it? But you do what? Yeah. Unfortunately, a piss break match actually does need to be a thing. I think
WWE got the flow right at the last one night WrestleMania, which they did, which is I think 2019.
Yeah.
It was still long, because don't get me wrong, I was sat in the pub till 7 a.m. because of it. But there were matches that were like 3 minutes long. There were some that were 10. There was one that was like 20. There was another that was 2. It was like they got the flow right. I think AEW needs those pepper in those little shorter matches, and it's okay if it's a shorter match.
Even the pre-show, quite often they go 8 to 10 minutes, and I think maybe that's a little bit long there. Could that have gone in the middle of the card and broken things up a little bit?
Wow. But I'm very aware it's a champagne problem. It's a real champagne problem. Also, whilst he didn't tease a major announcement per se, as he's wanted to do, Tony Khan did say that something exciting was coming for fans who are going to see AEW on March the 6th. Fightful Select say this is probably going to be the day that Kazuchika Okada lands in AEW officially.
Nice. I don't really have much to say about that. I just think it's excellent. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see what he does in AEW. He is and has been for the longest time one of the best in the world, and I can't wait to see him, Tom.
What other things did he talk about in the media call? There's a couple of other bullet points before we get to the real meat, pun intended.
Khan said that AEW is looking at huge media rights increases next year, saying that by then AEW will have gone from startup company to established challenger. Big money changing hands right there. When asked about AEW's disciplinary committee, Khan replied that they have 2 attorneys and Bryan Danielson on said committee. What a lineup. Hell of a agree with it.
2 very good people and Bryan Daniel. I'm joking.
And he said all of which have been trained to handle a range of claims. And Khan also put over former NWA Women's Champion Camille as a great free agent, as well as praising Daniel Garcia as somebody who could be a great champion anywhere, and also praised Samoa Joe as the best champion they could ask for.
Does that telegraph the fact that he's retaining on the weekend, do you think? Or is that just me?
Nah, you're reading too much into that.
Maybe I'm reading
I'm sure you never hear a bad word about Joe. If people are causing issues backstage, refusing to do stuff, Samoa Joe is not one of those people. I imagine that Samoa Joe as world champion is just a headache removed for Tony Khan. He's great, isn't he? I love Joe.
Also, during the media call, Tony Khan was asked, where's the beef? Because the Meat Madness match was scrapped, and he shared his original vision for what he wanted that Meat Madness match to be.
Saying, I wanted to put a lot of the big wrestlers and get the crowd fired up for a multi-man scramble. I think the crowd would enjoy it. It would be a lot of fun, but some of the wrestlers I was hoping to see in there, Miro and Keith Lee, are both out. Neither one is available, and some of our big men being out injured. I wanted to have the depth in the field to do the match I originally envisioned. Since we didn't necessarily have the depth and we're missing some of our big guys to do the Meat Madness multi-man scramble, we have other great stars and rivalries to showcase. So I made it an all-star scramble when we get all of our big men healthy at the same time. What sentence?
It's a great sentence, isn't it?
I still want the Meat Madness concept off the shelf, get it out of the freezer, thaw it out, and until then I put Meat Madness on ice. My dream, it's just bonkers stuff. It all makes sense, honestly. Yeah, it was a weird one anyway. Lean into the meme of it all, the big meaty men slapping meat and all that sort of stuff. I think it would have been great fun for all of them as well. I hope we do see it in the future. I'm not especially fussed. I talked earlier about like the matches that I'm not bothered about on the card. The All-Star Scramble is unfortunately one of them. I don't care to see the match, and I also don't really care that much who wins. Do you go Wardlow?
I did go Wardlow.
Do you reckon he gets that? I don't think he was going to
But I think he was going to win the Meat Madness match. So I think it's just they continue that meat-mentum for him.
Meat-mentum,
Thank
I
you
like
very
it.
much by having him win the Scrambly Egg match.
I think it's
as
the wrong
opposed to
time.
meat match.
I think it's the wrong time to give him the AEW World Championship match because he'll, like, he's not as hot as he was, is he?
Well, they didn't specify when he's getting it.
Well, maybe in 2 years when
2
he's
years'
hot again.
time.
All right.
Just he could just sit on it for a bit, can't he? So no meat, but scrambly eggs on the Revolution on Sunday night. Live reactions with myself and
There's
Fraser
an old
Porter.
streaky bit of bacon called Chris Jericho in there, isn't there? And
Canadian bacon.
And nugget. That's definitely what it's going for. It's gone off. It's been back in the free. You don't go to the green.
I'm sad. I wonder whether Jericho considered just bulking up to get into the Meat Madness match at any point.
He's got to insert himself somehow, Tom.
That's why he was at Tomahawk Steakhouse the other night.
There you go.
He was bulking up for Meat Madness. He was in Newcastle. He went to Tomahawk on the quayside. He was bulking up for Meat Madness, and now he feels silly because it's not happening. But he did have a lovely porterhouse. Anyway, Revolution live reactions with myself and Fraser Porter on Sunday night. What happened at following it? But get yourself pumped for Revolution with predictions and 9 pitches on the channel right now. Anything you'd like to plug?
No,
Captain, my captain.
2K streams are starting next week. I'm doing My Rise. It's officially confirmed. I'm going to be starting My Rise out on YouTube. Likely then moving over to Twitch in the evening. So you've got me every evening for however long it takes. Starting next week, I'll let you know the day as soon as I know.
We are back, baby. And the latest wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Meat.